Good morning. Usual Austere August shave today. Timeless, open comb, stainless steel, 68 gap, which is the more mild one. It's already got the blade loaded. B2 brush from Zenith. Aluminum handle. There are some other handles like this out there under different brands like Omega. Other bores, Omega and somebody else. Perazzo, puts out theirs. And now I believe, and I've actually got the Omega 48 Pro, and it's got the same handle, but it's a plastic handle with, shiny stuff on the outside. And it's a whole different brush. It's the hairs are very different. They're much longer. They're not nearly as soft as the Zenith. So you can watch out for that. I'm sure some of them are duplicates of the other, just rebrands, that sort of thing, but I don't know exactly which ones. The Nacet blade here, if you look by the T there, we've got 4 dots. And so that means 194 shaves before today. So let's put 195 on there. And Midnight Stag, as usual, is the soap of the month for August. And I call it Austere August, or we call it. A bunch of us are shaving with the same set of gear for August. Great scent. I like the Midnight Stag. It's very polarizing. My wife and little girl don't like it. I've got a little something in my throat. I might have to pause every once in a while. Yesterday I did a 5-second load, and this is a Crope. It's not a hard soap. It's not like D.R. Harris or Fine Accoutrements or Mitchell's Wool Fat, that sort of thing. But with some Cropes, you might be able to, especially with a boar brush or something, that might be a good load time for you. So don't be afraid to go down into those numbers, especially if you're using that same soap day after day, because there's a little residual moisture here. It's going to make it easier to load. All right. Let's duplicate yesterday's 5-second load, but this time I'll add a little bit less water. I believe I watered it down last time, not too much, but just on the wet edge of too much there, and it performed really well, but it was a little on the thin side. So let's see what happens. And that was with 2.5 teaspoons of water. Because I leave some in the brush, there's a little bit of variability there, and so maybe I add 2.5 today, and it's better, or maybe I add a little bit less than 2.5, we'll see. Shake most of the water from the brush is my usual technique when I don't know a soap, but this time I definitely do. All right, so let's do a 5-second load. Boop. And there we go. Wipe off the container. Let it dry. Oh, and I forgot to splash a little water on my face. All right, there we go. Take my little bowl. This is a Roger Quintero 3D printable design. The link is in the comments of the video in case you want to print your own and you have access to a printer. As usual, the water here is hard and it is tepid. Yeah, I'll go ahead and add the full 2 teaspoons because I'm pretty confident it'll take that. Oh, now come on. This inturned lip almost never causes almost never lets the soap just kind of sweep over like that. That's kind of my bad, I'm sure. There we go. Oops. So of course, parts of it are going to be very thin as it combines with the water. But then as the soap that's in the brush works its way into other wetter parts of the lather, things will start to thicken up. And they kind of already have. So it doesn't take too long. Long stretchy elastic peaks, but I think we need to combine a little bit more here. And again, this handle, I think I'm starting to, I love its thickness and its grip, but the shiny aluminum, it really does get slippery when soapy. So I just rinse it off. Other than the slippery handle, I'm really liking this brush a lot. I can see myself moving the knot to maybe another handle or something like that. Yeah, it's getting thicker. There we go. See, that's a lot different. I think I do need to keep adding a little bit of water. I have shaken my brush out, more than I did yesterday. So right now we've got 2.5 in there. Obviously, if you're using the same soap every day and it's one of your favorite bases, or at least the same base, then you may want to not bother with a syringe or some type of measurement and just measure by relativity. Take your brush out of the water, maybe shake it twice, and then see if that's enough water for you. If that's not enough, don't shake it at all. See what happens. Maybe have a tiny trickle of water going on your faucet there and add it that way gradually. As long as you know how the lather's supposed to look, you'll get there just fine without having to worry about measuring. Some people definitely don't like that as a part of their shave. I think this is probably ready to go. All right, just douse my face with a little bit of water. Five-second load, plenty of lather. We'll see if this one's just a little thicker than yesterday. Just a little bit. I don't need it to be too much thicker. It's a little bit airy. May need to mix this a little bit more. Sometimes if your soap is a little too airy, you just need to go at it with a little bit more time, more mixing. Sometimes then the water comes in and helps the bubbles to displace, get creamy, that sort of thing. Sometimes it's airy because it needs water. But definitely what you need to do is keep brushing for a little while so that the soap attaches to your skin, bonds with it. A good shaving soap will lay down a nice slick layer and make your skin protected from the blade. All right. And, we're pushing the limits of how much soap to use, right? And so it makes sense that we might be in an area where a little too much water, can make a big difference. All right. Timeless, I've already showed you the razor. Let's show you the blade. So 195 uses today on the Gillette Nacet. My little X mark right there. There we go. Timeless is really good at always aligning the blade properly. Yeah, see, it may be a little airy, but as I wiped the part in the non-shaving area right here away, I felt that slick layer against my skin. So just because it may not look all creamy and viscous and thick, you know, doesn't mean it's not going to do a good job for you. Yeah, see, I don't feel any tugging at all. 195 uses, and I don't feel any tugging. And I'm still going to get a good close shave. So that's what a good soap base is going to help you do. Rinse. All right, that's a little quick rinse. So yeah, this lather is not as wet as yesterday's, so I achieved that part of my goal. So I believe we're going to have enough lather to do the job. But it kind of looks like it's going to be close. I like to have maybe a pass extra in the bowl. I think I'm going to be fine. Again, this is a very airy particular lather. I haven't gotten this lather very much with this soap. In a way, it's kind of wetter because it's just dripping off, falling on me, unlike usual. No discomfort. Getting a little skipping, you may have heard right there or seen it right next to my goatee. Often that's an indicator that the lather's a little too wet. So it's possible I needed to stir on this one a little bit longer. It's working out okay. A little quick rinse. And for these, I'm just doing kind of quick half rinses, but I am sure to dab out the water of my goatee so that it doesn't interfere with the water ratio in the lather. And yeah, we are just going to pick up the last bits of lather from the bowl. Soft brush, enjoy it. Definitely not giving me any kind of brush burn, you know, because of any scritchiness or anything like that. So enough lather to do the job. Whoop. Brush hair, brush fiber, bristle, whatever you want to call it. All right. Again, I do a cross grain pass on my cheeks. Yeah, this is, it looked kind of a little thicker, but it's kind of turning out to be wetter because it's just fallen off of the razor. But like I said, as long as it lays down, that protective layer, then it kind of does, anything else doesn't matter, at least in terms of performance. Now I like wet lathers, but I don't like them so wet that it's doing this to my shirt. All right, I think we're good. Oh yeah, really nice cut right there. Happy with that. See a little bit of length on a few hairs, but you know, to be honest with me, in that area, that's not worth chasing, not worth getting some razor burn over or anything like that. All right, and the alcohol splash from Chiseled Face. Not really getting any sting. Must have had good technique. Happy with that. And sure enough, 2.5. And I don't know whether I should have mixed for longer. Like I said, we're just right on the cutting edge of having enough soap to do the job. So whether I should have mixed longer and maybe gotten some of the bubbles out or something like that, or whether this was in fact a little too much water, I don't know. Try it next time maybe with less water, even though it looked at 2 teaspoons before I added this small part here, it really looked like it was a little too thick and needed some water, but maybe I was wrong. All right, cleanup time. All done, all cleaned up. So I guess what we kind of saw in this shave was that even a lather that's not quite right can get the job done and do it comfortably and closely, and that's what I've got right now. Especially if it's not quite right on the wet side of the spectrum. If it's not quite right on the dry side, sometimes that doesn't go as well, depends on the soap. But that dry side sometimes doesn't stick to your skin and lay down that slick, greasy layer that lets the blade slide around, prevents razor burn, and gives you a good close cut. So if you're going to err on the wet side, at least in my opinion. All right, well, there we go. I hope there was something here that helped you out, kind of pushing the limits of how little soap we can use this month. Some of the other guys that are using Midnight Stag are using it at a much more rapid rate than I am. Maybe they're face latherers, and so that first pass kind of dumps a lot of the good stuff down the drain. But, you know, everybody's different. Everybody has their own preferences. It's relatively cheap soap, so it's all good. Right, so this is Sugar Daddy Shaves. You take care. Have a good day.